So it's Sunday afternoon, taking a little snooze in and out of watching some games, Seb. And Bears are in a great position, and I dozed off a bit in the third, and I woke up, and when you wake up out of one of those midday naps, and you're just a little kind of like my camera just was a little fuzzy. You're not quite there. Well, I woke up and I was a little fuzzy, and I all I heard is them saying Santos just has to come on and kick this field goal, and the Bears will beat the Packers. And when I fully woke up, it was watching the kick not go in and get tipped, and watching the Bears lose to the Packers once again. And I didn't realize what exactly how significant it was in the point of the game at that moment. I was planning on going back and watching it. Moral of the story, you want to talk about waking up on the wrong side of the bed. You're supposed to wake up from a Sunday nap, rejuvenated and feeling good. And that, I'll be honest, I slept through most of the 4 p.m. games because I was just pissed.
Unbelievable! Touchdown! Oh my, that may be one of the great throws ever made.
Daddy, chill.
That's one of those moments where you just kind of wake up fuzzy and you say, I'm just going to stay fuzzy, and you just roll back over because you don't want to wake up to that reality. And it's really unfortunate. I mean, I don't even want to say unfortunate. Bears lost. The Colts almost lost, which I thought they might as well. Right. I just feel like the area of fans were not super thrilled with this weekend, but there was one team that did well this weekend, a couple teams, but one fan base that did really well this weekend. You know what team I'm talking about?
Are you talking about some gentlemen in purple?
And some gentlemen in purple. I mean, we love them. I got my JJ McCarthy Vikings jersey. I'm ready to be a big fan next year when he takes over for Sam Darnold. But we do have a daddy in the league that's a big Vikings fan as it is. And just happy to have him on here with us because at least someone deserves to be happy.
We do. We have a guest on here, and before we let him totally chime in, let's just read through. I'm just going to go through a couple of his credentials, and Seb, feel free to jump in if so. He's a 2-year daddy, missed the playoffs last year, came in this year. Nobody had him crazy on his radar, and has absolutely torn up this league in a way that we have not seen someone do since the very first year of this league, which was, believe it or not, Chris Boylan. But he is, unless Brandon happens to outscore him by an average of 50 points over the next 3 weeks, he's going to be our 2024 season points winner. He has set our record for the longest going undefeated. And he is just one of the gosh dang most gorgeous men and genuinely nicest people. Maybe nicest people in this league, but unfortunately a Michigan and a Minnesota fan. And yes,
this is why I love him. That
is Mr. Kirby Cox.
And really quick, I know he wants to jump in. I'm going to hold him one more second.
No, let's keep holding him. Let's keep holding him.
Just so all the daddies know, he could have and should have been a 3-year daddy at this point. He just turned down our league the first year that I offered him. So
it's very special because he's coming to you live from. He's the only daddy that is. I thought I was going to be the southernmost daddy again this year, but I guess not. All right, Kirby. Seb, did you have something else?
No, I think he can go now.
All right, he's actually here. Kirby Cox, how are you, sir?
Gentlemen, daddies, great to be here, and I'd love to finally be on the pod. It's great to see Minnesota doing well this year, although I think Sam Darnold is slowing down a little. Defenses are kind of figuring him out. I don't really want to talk about Michigan much. It's just makes my eyes bleed watching the quarterback play.
Yeah, well, if you want to, you can't have it all, first off, bud. You can't have the league, Michigan, and you can't have NCAA, fantasy, and the NFL. Kirby, you are points leader. You're absolutely destroying the league this year with what I think most of us would have looked at your team at the beginning of the year and said, wow, a year or two ago, Kirby's team would have kicked ass. And again, here you are kicking everybody's ass. And I, love you for it because we all need that humility. And 2, the other big credentialing thing for you is that you are the first daddy to officially clinch the playoffs 100%. Now you've pretty much had your playoff spot clenched since week 5. But congratulations.
Thank you. It actually, I think Seb said if you looked at this team 5 years ago, they would have been great on
Five
paper. That
years,
was
yeah.
that was that was one of the first
That was
blogs
an
that he
early
put
blog.
out.
Yeah.
But I think I got really lucky with Saquon and Henry just popping off this year. Losing Chris Godwin hurt a little bit, but looking at my team last year compared to this year, I really changed up my draft strategy. And honestly, most of the people that I got through the first 8 picks are the ones that I strategized and actually was able to get. So that was surprising.
Okay, so Kirby, so we're gonna get into we're gonna start off. I hope nobody has any daddy dreams because mine were all nightmares. Clearly, I woke up to an actual nightmare. It was awful. So we're gonna dive right into playoff pictures because a lot. I mean, like I said last week, and every week, every point is important right now for about over half of our league, give or take. So just said Kirby, you have clinched. The other two teams that are more or less Brandon's at like a 99. Brandon is like a couple people away, a couple strategic losses away from essentially him being clinched, and Team Keeg's also in the same spot. So Kirby, as you take an early look with these three teams, these three we'll call them our top tier, our sure thing in the bubble teams. How are you feeling going into it? Odds are stacked
Uh,
against you.
I feel pretty great. About halfway through the season, I started looking at where my guys were going to play. I mean, who their opponents were come in the playoff time. And I feel a little more comfortable in my running back situation. Mahomes has honestly sucked a lot of dick this year, throwing more picks than touchdowns. So I'm hoping in that playoff stretch that he actually does a little better. But looking at these other two teams, Chicago Dogs, they are not to be trifled with right now. He has figured out his quarterback situation. If Tua continues to play the way he does and scores 20 points a week for him, then he can be very well dangerous and stay hot while going into the playoffs.
Or if
The
Anthony
te-
Richardson continues what he's doing right now. I mean, he looked incredible last game.
yeah, that too. And Team Keegs got fucking Josh Allen. It's his strategy every year, and honestly, it fucking works because Josh Allen is a god in football and fantasy wise. He'll put up anywhere between 20 and maybe even 40 points a week. That just carries his team. And depending on what week you get with Brees Hall and Josh Jacobs, they could give him 40 points. So, I mean, those guys alone, it's going to be scary once we all get to the playoffs. But I hope those two play each other first before they get to me. And hopefully I can win out and meet one of them in the championship.
Yeah,
Those three teams I think are really interesting. Just the makeup, right? Like you talked about Keegs being more quarterback heavy, and Brandon has kind of struggled in that area. He's kind of figuring it out, and same with your spot. You're struggling in that area too with Patrick Mahomes, but hopefully, like you said, figuring out. But just different dynamics for you guys with the top three teams. So we talk a lot about the best teams in the league, but really we want to talk about the teams that have the best chance of winning, which over the last few years has come from this, slightly behind area, the teams that kind of squeak in. And that's these next four teams, which is, the Amphetamines, Jacksonville Jacks, the Bald Bison, and, of course, your commish who hasn't missed a playoff as this league has gone. And so he's going for a clean sweep. He doesn't want to experience that loser's bracket that Kirby was talking about. I don't want the fear that's going to happen. And these four teams have had very, very different seasons, right? I had a really strong start and kind of fallen off. Bald Bison and Jacksonville Jacks have had kind of a weaker start and a stronger last few games. And Blake, your team's just been kind of all over the place.
That's how I like it. Sporadic.
Yeah, and that could be good come playoffs if you were to make it. But these next few weeks are going to be really important. There's a lot of buys over the next few weeks. And I feel like your team maybe has escaped that already, but that could be detrimental towards a lot of these teams in this middle area that are really trying to make that final push towards the playoffs.
Seb, just to throw in a little bit, and Kirby, maybe a little food for thought for you. So in year 1, when I was a champion, I was the 6th seed and a 7 seed playoff. Year 2, which would have been Keegan's year, Keegan was the 3 seed. Last year, Vic was a 6 seed. So we've never had a 1 or 2 seed win the championship. So Seb, to your point, theoretically, these bubble teams, our champion could come from these bubble teams because it gets a little funny too, especially with the 18 week. And I know we don't play all the way out through 18, but uh, people start, sometimes they're starting to sit some star players or they're not getting as many reps. So who scares you? Who scares you the most, and who are you like? Do you think these four get in, or yeah? What do you think
I
Who's a
we
lock?
see
think,
Who's
these
a
guys?
lock, and who's someone that maybe falls out?
you
Yeah,
know, just looking at a team on paper, I think Jackson's team just looks like a star-studded cast. And since Tua comes back, I think Tyreek, his stock skyrockets. It took a couple weeks. Last week they did all right, but this week, he finally got a touchdown. And I think that's only going to build the closer we get to the playoffs because I think Miami's going to get real hot here soon because they're going to try to make a late playoff push. But another team I kind of want to draw attention to, if I don't know how much he monitors his team throughout the week or before Thursday night, is Bald Bison. He's quietly, throw some jabs left and right here and there as the seasons progress. And it's kind of exciting to see his team, take a step forward. I mean, Daddy got engaged just recently. And so, Daddy gets in the playoffs. That's 2 wins this year for me. I mean, for him. So, just those two teams alone, I think they stand out more to me.
again, gonna play with the stats, but the year I got engaged, I didn't make the playoffs. Taylor, well, we know what's happening there. So honestly, Matt might have screwed himself from getting to the playoffs, but he's on a 3-game winning streak right now, which is the longest, I believe, the longest running right now in the league. So that's a great call out there.
To
The
quick note on that, it's the second longest. We got the Dogs out there, and the Chicago Dogs on a 5-game win streak.
Oh, thank
So
you.
yeah,
Thank
can't
you.
forget about them.
Well, the Chicago Dogs are hot as Kirby was early in the season right now. But that being said, Bald Bison, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. He might have ruined his chances. So I don't know. I don't know if I would be as scared. But yeah, he's picked up some good wins, and I'm interested to see because this leads us nicely into this next tier. So those are our if season's over today, done and finished, that would be our playoff. But this next tier, we got Victorville, we got Jill Stein, and we got the G Train Rats, which two of those daddies have never made the playoffs, and that is Jack and G Train. So these guys, they're desperate for they really another loss could put them out of contention, and they're just trying to fight back into it. I think both Aaron and Vic, though, what's super interesting is you see Aaron, Vic, these three teams are outscoring the next highest, which would be me. So these three teams at 5 and 6 are outscoring the on the bubble teams by win loss. So does speak a little bit to that. Commission, anything you got on them?
Yeah, I feel like I look right. I write the blogs every week over this, and I feel like these teams sometimes in their lineups look better than some of those bubble teams. We've talked about G Train. Like theoretically, he should have won last week. Poor management. He's had a lot of blow up potential. When I look at these teams, as far as being able to make the bubble, it's who has players that have the chance to blow up, who have players that have a chance to have huge weeks. G Chain Rats has Bijan Robinson, who's played really great lately, and Cortland Sutton has been on with Bo Nix. Jill Stein has had a complete fall off, but you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Kyron Williams, two studs that could potentially go crazy any week and put them over the top, and Alvin Kamara for that matter. Um,
Yep.
and then for Victorville Villains, kind of in that same boat, especially this year, you got Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. Any week, that combination can put up 50, 60 points. So there's a lot of blow potential. I think I like Victorville a lot here. He scored a lot of points this year. Just been a lot of poor matchups. But interesting teams for sure.
Kirby, give us your hot take. So out of those out of those 7, so out of half the league, you got 4 spots to fill. So you got 3 of them. Who are you filling those 4 with? Not what you would ideally, but who do you think is going to get in there?
Looking at the playoff percentages now in both divisions, I think you are obviously going to fill one of them. I mean, it already shows that you have a 74% chance. And I think that you'll strategically balance your team these next couple of weeks to get those last couple wins. Um, it just depends on Connor Stallion's team decides to use their recorded practice tapes to be able to get their players to score the amount of points that they need to win. But I think in reality, I think Vic does sneak in. I think I got lucky this week against him because Lamar did not, produce 30 points in the MVP caliber season that he's had. I think he's gotten real lucky with J.K. Dobbins. Pacheco comes back. He'll have two star-studded running backs, and Lamar continues to play the way he will. I think he could sneak in. Unfortunately, I want to say Jill Stein could possibly get in, but they started so hot, like Kamala Harris thought she was going to win, but the red wave took over and his team has just completely gone downhill and lost steam throughout the year. So in that last spot, I'm going to take Bald Bison, and I think that his engagement's going to put him over the hump, get him in the playoffs.
So for me, I'd go myself. I'd go Jacksonville Jacks, and then I think I'm going to agree with you. I think Vic's going to squeak two out, and then I'm going to go Connor Stallions on top of that. Seb, any other hot takes on it?
No, I would say pretty much the same thing. I do think it's going to be you, myself. I do like Vic's team there. Yeah, I think it'll be Vic's team. I need to see some of these matchups in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think just to be different a little bit, I do like Jack's team. I think there's a lot of blow up potential there. I think they're super talented, but some younger players. So I'm going to go with Bald Bison to get that last spot.
And according to both ESPN and DraftKings, not DraftKings, that's not what I'm going to say, Fantasy Pros, that is what we have here. Those inner seven are by about 10% swing is projected in there, but a lot can change in a week. And I think that is, we got to talk about these guys. And I don't know if you guys put any stock. So and then we have our nobody's dead in the water. Nobody is mathematically out. And Boylan, yeah, then we got Here for Beer, he's truly just here for the marriage, I guess. And then we got Chubbs, we got Comeback Story, and we got the Crawdaddies. Crawdaddies trying to make a run. Do you guys think any of these teams make it out of the red and into the maybe having a chance if they win out?
I mean, I think you would think the Crawdaddies, I think, would probably be the most possible team. They have Joe Mixon and Nakua again, who have blow up potential. Juwan Jennings, blow up potential. Mark Andrews when he wants to play well, and Joe Burrow, blow up potential. So I think there's probably the most potential there. And you got Taysom Hill on the bench, that dog beater or that dog hater. So he's probably got the best chance. I don't think the other three really stand much of a chance.
Curry.
Yeah, I agree with everything he said. Just looking at, fortunately, Chris's team has just been destroyed this whole season, and injuries plagued him all year. Comeback story. God love him. He started 3-0, but just brutal year for him. And I love Taylor. Taylor's quote of the year is, "I hate it here." It's my favorite text getting every week.
Quote of the year. I think you mean quote of the man himself. That we should just get that placard for him because I feel like this is how he's felt all the years in this league thus far. Curveball Kirby, am I right? Kirby, as you are wrapping up and getting into what's going to be a memorable Draft Daddy season for you, regardless of how it ends up, what do you have to say to the rest of the league who, frankly, you're the one to beat? You're the one to go and get. I think who was it that toppled you? Was it Glenn? I think
Glenn and Keegs both got
Glenn and
me.
Keegs, but Glenn was your first one. So that was exciting. You're the one to beat. How does it feel to be the most hated man in a group chat and league of boys at this point? I mean, you showed us the guns you were shooting.
True.
I don't just like it. I think I love it. Having that target on my back, it brings a lot more animosity in the group chat, and I just love talking shit to people. I just wish, some people would say some more things more often, bring it alive. I know everybody's kind of having a down year just looking across the board, but fuck it. Say something mean every once in a while. It's good. It feels good, especially after last season going 8-8 and just missing the playoffs. I think I figured out my style, and how I want to move forward in this league. But it feels great. I want everybody to drink a beer for me this weekend. Beer in a pod. Gotta love it.
Beer in a pod.
I love you. I love you all. Miss you all. Good night, daddies.
Yeah.
Good night. Kamish, got
have
anything?
some, Daddy. Yeah, have some peace in that no matter where you're at this weekend, we'll all be listening to a pod and drinking a beer together. Miss you, daddies.
Shut up.
Love you.
No, not going to let him finish because I'm cutting him off every week. This is the Draft Daddy podcast, sponsored by the Asphylamphetamines. Thank you so much for being here today, gentlemen. I love each and every one of you so very much. Good luck on those playoff sprints, and pitter patter.
Let's get at it.